I am super excited to be heading down to the annual SHSMD conference in just over a week. That's SHSMD, SHSMD, for those of you looking it up on the internet. It's the annual gathering of healthcare marketers and strategy leaders from healthcare providers. This year's event is being held in Chicago, one of my favorite cities to visit. I wanted to get a preview of the event, so I reached out to the organizing committee and invited them to join us on the program today. Hello and welcome to Sway Health, where we bring you insights and interesting stories from the brightest minds in healthcare marketing. I'm Colin Hung, and joining me today are three members of the SHSMD Board of Directors. First, we have Lisa Crockett, Vice President of System Planning and Strategy at Providence. She is one of the co-chairs of this year's conference. We also have Alan Shoebridge, Associate Vice President of National Communication, also at Providence, and he is the President of SHSMD's board. And finally, we have Ryan Younger, Vice President of Marketing at Virtua Health, and he is the other co-chair of this year's conference. You're going to love our conversation about what they are looking forward to the most at this year's event, what the hot topics might be that we'll be discussing, and some tips to get the most out of attending. So get ready to be inspired, learn some new tricks, and take your marketing game to the next level. Let's jump right in. Lisa, Alan, Ryan, welcome to the program. It's great to have you here.
Great,
Thank you. Great to be with you.
Thank you.
I'm excited because we're just a few days away from the 2023 edition of the annual SHSMD conference, which is happening in Chicago. I'm excited to be down there again. I'm excited to see all of you. And actually, that's why I wanted to have all of you on the program, is to give us a little preview of this exciting event that's happening. So maybe, Lisa, let me start with you. What are you most looking forward to at SHSMD23?
That's a great question, Colin. I think it's fitting that the SHSMD conference is called SHSMD Connections, because this is that time of year where I get to reconnect with colleagues all across the country. There's so many times where we get kind of heads down focused in our day-to-day work. And this annual conference gives me that chance every year to kind of pick my head up, reconnect with other people who get it, who understand this work that we do day in and day out, and to come back home with all sorts of new ideas.
And Alan, what about you? What are you looking forward to the most at this year's conference?
I don't know. Lisa just stole my answer, I think. And she did. She said it better than I will. For me, I love going to the conference to connect with people. I mean, that is the key thing. It's been a really difficult couple of years in healthcare. It still is. And so when we can carve out some time to just kind of step away from things, think about the work we do, and, invest in our own personal development as well. And a lot of that comes from meeting new people, kind of connecting with people, getting different perspectives on the work. I just love the fact that we can sort of take a break and focus on that, and that's always been probably my favorite part of the conference.
And Ryan, finally, what about you?
Well, not to date myself, but I guess I've been to a bunch of these conferences going back over 20 years now, and I still get excited about what's going to be new and different this year. And I know I will always learn something new, and I'll gain perspective around some challenges I might be addressing that colleagues are facing around the country that are similar to mine. And really, I've just made a lot of professional and personal friends over the years, so I'm looking forward to seeing people.
I mean, it's very interesting, right? I mean, Lisa, you hit on it there. Like the conference does have the Connections moniker to it, and all three of you talked about how connecting or reconnecting with colleagues from the past that you maybe haven't seen in a year is one of the biggest draws of that conference. I have to agree with you. I mean, having been to SHSMD a few times, I mean, that is it's fun to see people. It's fun to meet new people. But I want to pick up on something that Ryan said there, the chance to discover something new. Other than AI, which I think no doubt is going to be a topic of conversation, is there anything that's on that's going to be on the minds of attendees, or that is going to be spoken about a lot, in your opinion, at the conference this year? Alan, let's start with you on this one.
Yeah, I think there are a number of things. Obviously, like you said, AI is going to be big, and that'll be interesting. But as I was looking through the agenda, and I know a couple of people are doing presentations, I'm really excited of some of the focus on like the multicultural marketing and communication that's going on. I know there's a great couple sessions on that. Really, how people have integrated DEI into their organizations and what they're doing from that perspective. So those are a couple of topics that are really interesting to me. And then also just finding any ways that people have sort of cut through the noise that's going on. Again, like from my perspective as a communicator, like just reaching people is more challenging than ever. I know there's some sessions on that, and that's been something, of course, we've talked about for a long time. But I think again how our audiences have shifted and how we're communicating with basically, I think what you could call sort of non-traditional audiences, and seeing some success stories there. That's what I'm really interested in. I've got a couple of those sessions, marked on my calendar to attend.
Yeah, and I think one of the other ones.
Oh, so go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, I was going to add on to that. I think, great points, Alan, on some of the DEI sessions that we see cropping up this year. I think a couple others that have captured my attention is that we're offering a number of sessions for our rural providers. The strategies that they need to pursue look different than ones that we're pursuing in more urban settings. And so having sessions that are more dedicated to rural healthcare, I think, is important. We also have a number for our more executive audience who are returning this year. And so I think that I'm seeing a good balance between sessions for first-time attendees who may just be getting into their healthcare careers, and those who are entering perhaps later phases of their careers, and yet they're still looking for that new content, those ideas that they can take back, and those connections that they're able to build with colleagues who are in similar roles.
Ryan, what about you?
I would agree with Lisa and Alan. I think they're pointing out a lot of great hot topics, and the one I'd probably add from a marketing perspective is this continued, more sophisticated look at how we measure return on investment, how we're kind of tracking audiences in more sophisticated ways while new privacy regulations are growing. So how do we get more precise with our marketing?
Those are all great sessions, and there's always way too many sessions to go to than we have time for. I'm always amazed when I look at the blocks of breakouts that there's usually 2 in there that I want to go to. So I'm always having FOMO that I can't go to them all. For me, I'm kind of interested in these sessions. I think there's like 2 or 3 that I saw just on kind of like the changes to the privacy and all of the tracking that you aren't able to do. We're kind of now a year into this. I'm kind of curious to see how people have gone around solving this. It still continues to be a topic of conversation. Obviously not as hot as AI is, but I'm certainly interested in kind of seeing a 1 year later look at how to get around some of those challenges.
Yeah, definitely. And you talk about, kind of having FOMO of seeing, multiple sessions that you want to attend, perhaps in a single block. I think that's another advantage to the conference, that we're recording all the sessions. Our attendees are going to have the opportunity to be able to go back and watch anything that they may have missed, or to be able to review a session that was particularly helpful for them. So that's something else that we're putting at the fingertips of our attendees this year.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that will help ease my FOMO for sure.
Yes.
Now a lot of stuff has been written out there for people first time attending SHSMD. There's lots of great information on LinkedIn and some articles that people have posted. So I encourage you to go over there if this is the first time you're going to go be at SHSMD. But for the veteran folks, is there any changes, anything that's a little different about this year's conference that you want to highlight or that you want to say to them?
I think there is a kind of a whole special track that's devised towards senior leaders, recommended sessions. The keynotes are always different and have, inspiring themes and are new. I think those are good. And then I think senior leaders can contribute a lot to the type of networking and mentorship that we're trying to continue to build. And I think they have a lot to offer there. So there's some give and take.
Yeah, I was going to say, one thing I think we started last year for the first time was sort of these meetups, and the meetups really give an opportunity for senior people to mix with, people that could mentor, provide an interesting perspective on things. And also we will have like another senior kind of peer-to-peer meetup. But those meetup sessions, I really would encourage people to look at those. Because again, that's a different way to, again, you can share your expertise, or you might learn something depending on your experience level. So I think there's values kind of for both ways to look at it.
Yeah, I like what you said, Ryan, about the mentorship side, because that's an important role that we play as senior leaders, of being able to give back to the profession that has invested so much in us. And I certainly find, like, through my mentorship opportunities, if I'm mentoring someone, I'm learning just as much from those experiences as, hopefully what I'm giving to them. So I think it's a great way to bring things full circle and be investing in that next generation that we're going to need to be leading this work.
Is there anything that you think will be a big reveal or a big surprise at this year's show? Is there something that we're going to be talking about the week afterwards and still buzzing about after the event?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. And I think it's going to kind of vary by individual what captures our attention. But, we do have a lineup of great keynote speakers. So I have a feeling that we're going to be talking about those. And then I think it's, going to be things like the workshops and some of the other offerings that we have that we're packing a lot of great information into those. And I think it's going to provide a lot of food for thought as we head back home.
Yeah, and I know it's kind of buzzwordy and stuff, but the whole perspective on AI is going to be interesting, because this is a time where you can find out like what people are doing. So like, if what are smaller systems, big systems, what is everyone doing? And can we build something if we're not doing it in our organization or in our department or whatever? So, again, I feel like that one, again, it's out there and people are talking about it a lot, but this is a chance to really get with peers and talk about what's really happening. So I think that one will have some, buzz past the conference as well.
I can just see a lot of conversations carrying over, whether you're at a dinner or in the exhibit hall. I think that opportunity to meet in person with your colleagues and talk about their challenges. I don't necessarily have one big reveal, but I know there will be something.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why we're all excited to be there, right? Is what will be that thing that everyone talks about. And I agree with you, Ellen. I've certainly been on the hunt for the last 6 months for where are practical uses of AI in healthcare. What are people really doing with it? Let's try to cut through the hype, right, and all the noise, and really get to, as you said, like an opportunity to really ask the questions of, okay, like, how are you really using this, right? What have you found that really is going to move the needle here around AI? And I think that'll be a lot of the hallway conversations.
Yeah, for sure. And, it seems like almost everyone's doing a little bit of something. So, if you're not doing anything, you might meet someone who could help you get started. If you're doing something really exciting, that will inspire others. But yeah, to your point, like, what concrete is actually coming out of this? How's it helping our processes or helping our patients, things like that? And there are going to be actual tangible examples that I think people haven't really heard about, and that'll be exciting.
Yeah, and we also haven't touched on what our solution providers as well will be bringing to the conference. That's always another, helpful aspect of this conference, is getting to connect with those solutions providers, understand what they're bringing in terms of new content, applications, other things that can ease our way in the work that we're doing. I think they're such a critical part of this conference as well, and something that I always look forward to, of being able to go through that exhibit hall, understand what's out there that perhaps I should be considering, and areas where we could be thinking differently and using those tools.
Well, as a former vendor in this space, I thank you for saying, please go to the exhibit hall, because we need as much traffic, or they need as much traffic as they can get. And you're so right. That is sort of to me, it is sort of one of the hubs of SHSMD. It is such a great place to learn about new technologies and new solution offerings. It is a great place to have conversations. I spend, I got to say, majority of my time in the exhibit hall just talking with people. I love it. I love it. And you can just see the energy from the people that go through to look for those solutions. So, contrary to what you may believe, it's not shooting fish in a barrel. That's not what it feels like. It feels like truly having a conversation with some friends and learning about some new things in the exhibit hall. So definitely would encourage people to go through it. I would be remiss if I didn't ask the three of you, because all three of you have regular day jobs. And on top of that, you have voluntarily taken on additional duties by getting involved in the SHSMD organization and with the conference itself. What would you say to somebody who may be thinking about that? What would you say to encourage them to get involved? And B, how can someone get involved with SHSMD? Alan, let's start with you.
Yeah, I love that question. So I think, you know, thinking back on my journey, like when I first started SHSMD as a member, it was really to learn about things and present, you know, have some opportunity to get involved and present on topics. And, you know, it's very much of my sort of career development. As I've, you know, matured in age, frankly, experience and time in the organization, I've wanted to give a lot more back. And so that's where I felt like joining the board, you know, helping with things like the conference. That's a way I could give back, sort of get into that mentorship role that Lisa was talking about earlier. I would encourage people at any level though to get involved, because again, it's an opportunity to learn. For many people, you know, part of their development plan is doing things like giving a presentation or writing an article or a blog post or doing a webinar. And there's so much opportunity if you want to do that. And if you want to just focus on learning, there's plenty of opportunities to do that. And if you're more at the stage like me, where you could be a mentor and give back, we've got opportunities to do that as well. So I feel like it really does fit. And, you know, you can also invest as much time in it as you want, from, you know, again, a very kind of passive, but you're learning, to a very, you know, participatory role too. So I think it's got something for everyone, depending on what their level of involvement wants to be.
Ryan, do you want to add on to that?
I would agree with that. I think there are so many ways to get involved, you know, certainly at the conference, you know, just taking the initiative to talk to different people. But then throughout the year, I mean, whether it's starting a discussion group, you know, there's many that are ongoing, offering to write a blog. There's a lot of ways to connect. And I think it just feels valuable in general, because we have such an opportunity to continue to increase awareness for what people in the industry are doing. And really, you know, there's so much good. And I think driving that awareness, you know, ensuring that people understand how we're connecting people to care and just that mission of healthcare is so valuable. So the more we can all do, it feels good. It's easy to give time to that.
Yeah, and so I would encourage people to watch for the annual call for volunteers. SHSMD puts out that call every year. There's a variety of roles, depending on how much time you want to dedicate, but I would start there. The other opportunity is at the conference. Stop by the SHSMD booth. Talk to any of us who are there about our experience of serving within SHSMD. You know, if you're kind of a first timer of waving your hand to say that you're interested in volunteering, I think it's a great way of just connecting with some of us who have volunteered for many years, to be able to explain those opportunities, understand more about the ways that you can give back. And again, this is a way that we continue to reshape the society to ensure that it's meeting our needs, that we're remaining relevant. You know, this is really our group. So I would welcome anybody to stand up and offer to volunteer. Be great to have new people working alongside of us.
Thank you to the three of you for being on our program today and giving us a little preview of the upcoming conference. I look forward to seeing all three of you down in Chicago.
Sounds great.
Thanks, Colin.
For sure. Thank you.
I want to thank Lisa, Ryan, and Alan for jumping on camera with me and for sharing their thoughts and perspectives on the 2023 SHSMD conference. My key takeaway is that SHSMD is a fantastic opportunity to connect and learn from peers, especially when it comes to new technologies like AI and how to realistically apply them at a healthcare organization. In a sense, you can get the real story from the people that are going to be attending. And hey, if you enjoyed this interview as much as I did, please like and subscribe. Also, head on over to Sway Health. That's Sway with 2 A's, .health. That's where you'll find more great content like this. I'm Colin Hung. Thanks for being here, and we'll catch you on the next video.